How's it going? I actually just finished watching the Let's Play of this video game, The Last of Us. I'm obsessed. I've never heard of that. What's it about? It's about this fungus that infects insects and takes over their central nervous system, and it ends up infecting humans and turning them into zombies. Zombies seem to be in nowadays.
I actually just finished reading an article about a fungus called Cordyceps unilateralis, and it basically does exactly what you just said, plus the crazy stroma growing out of their heads, but minus the zombie apocalypse part.
Orpheus, cordis, biceps, lateral. Is there a common name that I won't butcher?
Dude, get out!
Oh, got it. Well, does it exhibit an extended phenotype?
Brain fart. What does that mean again?
It's when the expression of the parasite's genes directly affect the host's behavior. It suggests coevolution.
Oh, I see. The ants developed the ability to sense infection. That also suggests that they co-evolved. It's actually a complex species, meaning there are many subspecies, and they're distinguished macroscopically and functionally.
So do we add sensu lato at the end of the name?
Exactly, because in Latin that means in broad sense.
Interesting. So what insects does it infect?
Carpenter ants from the Forminidae family, most commonly the Leonardo species.
Is that the only host?
No. Different species of the zombie fungus will actually attack different species of beings.
Wow. So where is this found?
Well, most commonly in the tropics of Thailand and Brazil, but recently there have been sightings in California. They're invading.
So what's their prime niche?
Low-lying leaves in ideal temperature and humidity.
So who discovered it?
Some British guy named Alfred Wallace in the mid-1800s.
So is this the same cordyceps from 1818? Why'd they add the ophio?
Well, apparently they did some RNA sequencing and found that they're genetically distinct. Check this out. Here's what the ant looks like once the fungus has killed it.
Whoa.
We now join our ants today in the temperate forest of Brazil. Here we meet Anthony, Antoinette, and Jemima. These carpenter ants naturally rest in the high canopy of the forest to avoid predators. They even forge aerial trails to travel around their environment. Unfortunately for our buddies here, the tree they normally crossed to get home fell last night. Now they must brave the ground floor to get home. They appear to be taking it well. Alas, a graveyard is obstructing their path. While normally they would avoid graveyards, they have no other choice but to soldier through it.
What the ant? Great ant out the ant?
Poor Anthony is now affected by an O. unilateralis spore from the air. Due to compulsions Anthony has experienced, he has fallen from the tree. He will no longer be able to find his way back to the nest, thus suffering a brutal fate. The low leaf gives the fungus prime condition for growing the spore-bearing stroma. When the ants from the low leaves were moved to the ground floor, decomposition quickly ensued. When they were moved to the high canopy, the fungus was unable to produce spores. This suggests a prime niche for a low foliage. It has been 5 days since Anthony has been infected, and he is slowly making his way up to the low leaf, where he will inevitably bite into the main vein of the leaf and die. This occurs at the solar noon, and ants suffering this fate find themselves facing northwest. Now the white hyphae will begin to cover the joints of the ants. This will help in attachment and stability of the decaying body. Unfortunately, Anthony is regrettably dead. The stroma will form over a period of 7 days. It will re-emerge from the ant's neck as an anamorph appears. Eventually, a perithecia, a pad, will develop but can break off due to environmental factors such as the wind. The cycle will restart until the spores within the perithecia are mature and expelled.
Anthony?
I don't know. He was such a fun guy.
The ants have developed certain defense mechanisms such as forcing the infected ants from the colony. They have also developed a rigid exoskeleton of the host. One of the fungal virulent factors, chitinase, is the enzyme that permits the fungus to penetrate the exoskeleton more easily. Once the spore has penetrated the exoskeleton, the fungus releases a cocktail of chemicals to allow it to take control of Anthony's central nervous system. The fungus is highly virulent and will eliminate whole ant colonies if given the opportunity.
I've been doing some research and I found some interesting applications of the death grip fungus in the human world.
What have you found?
Turns out that the fungus produces 6 major naphthoquinones, NQs for short.
What is that?
They're a group of secondary metabolites with useful characteristics such as antibacterial, anti-cancer, and even anti-malarial agents. They're able to produce them in vitro, however, these NQs are intolerant to both carbon and nitrogen.
So producing them in large amounts is still inefficient?
Sadly, but there is a cool use in the fact that they produce a red pigment that can be used in many instances such as dyes for food and even cosmetics.
Cool! I've actually been doing some research too. It turns out that O. unilateralis has a parasite too. A hyperparasite, to be precise.
How is it a parasite?
Well, it prevents the fungus from creating its spores and thus infecting other ants.
Cool, what's it called?
It's actually unknown.
Creepy. Sounds like there's a lot of research opportunity in this field. Speaking of which, last night while I was researching, I came across a call for proposals. They want to know exactly how the fungus controls the ant.
I heard that it's through a chemical cocktail of neurotoxins or something.
Maybe we should come up with a research proposal.
Great idea!
Today's research is still being conducted on the mechanism of fungal puppeteering. The world will always be fascinated with the undead.
Well,
How are you getting down, sweetie?
I'm going to live up here?
Yeah, cry.